I mean, obviously there's different constraints on the competition now, and one of it's around being more domestic focused, which I think is awesome. I think it's the way forward to continue to grow the game here. Once you work around those constraints, then you just realize like now you have to get out of the blocks pretty quickly too, because 10-game season.
One of the results of losing a number of teams is that every team is stronger now. When you looked at the Anthem team, it looked fantastic.
I genuinely believe this is a reset button that had to happen. And for the skeptics out there, they probably question that. But I honestly believe what has been done, what has been put in place, trying to build a brand within the brand, that's Sunday Night Rugby, the content trying to drop, the aura around the player and the story, and connecting with, yes, current fans, but also trying to, get amongst the non-rugby fan as well.
Welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. Interviews with the biggest names in American rugby.
Consecutive MLR championship, and Team USA make history in Paris. USA Rugby is heading to Australia.
Here are your hosts, Bill Baker and that other guy.
Hello and welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour. I'm Bill Baker. John Fitzpatrick, my partner over to the left of me, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or, I don't know, driving a car on your CarPlay if that's possible. But thank you all for tuning in. Special show for you guys today, guys. This is our MLR preview show. Every year we've been doing this for at least a few years now. A little bit different this week. We're going to have on a few really strong guests. And really no stronger than our first guest coming up in a few minutes, Will Hooley, who's been on the show a number of times. And I believe we do owe him a nice shiny watch or a jacket or a bag of diapers for being on the show. And we really do appreciate that. But Fitzy, again, one game's been done this past weekend. Carolina Anthem. Everyone check. We're not going to give it away. No spoilers. Check out the match. Again, we're so excited about the beginning of this season. We would really cover this match if we wanted to, but we want to look forward to what you and I, Fitzy, think really is week one. But we will get into that. The details of that. But Fitzy, let's just chat for a second. Some big matchups this weekend: Seawolves, Old Glory, Anthem, Chicago, Legion, Free Jacks. These are all big matches, and I got a feeling, because of the lower amount of teams and where the players have gone, it's going to be similar every weekend, big matches.
Oh, yeah. I mean, top to bottom, right? Only 6 teams remaining. Top 4 are going to make it. 10-game regular season. It's going to be a sprint. Table points are essential each matchup, right? So even if you're not winning the match, you're down by a couple of tries and you need a bonus point to get that 4th try or close within 7. Like all of that stuff's going to be fun to watch all the way through. And yeah, with week 2 here starting off Friday night, Seawolves hosting Old Glory. Yeah. It's going to be a Donnybrook, as they say in Ireland.
It's going to be a late night on the East Coast if you want to stay up for that one. Also, if you want people to listen to the Patty Ryan interview we did last week, he talks about how important these matches are from the get-go. You can lose a match or 2 here and there, but it's going to be really important to get wins off the top of the season. And with that said, Fitzy, I think it's time. Listeners, please like, follow, and subscribe to this video, Facebook feed, wherever you want, or the podcast replays, which are available the next day after viewing this show on YouTube on all podcast players. So please check it out, share with your friends. And as usual, I believe the jingle department told us we have a quieter song because there may be people sleeping in the room or in the house for our guests. So as usual, we introduce our guests via rhyme songs.
Today's guest returns to the show with a new show of his own. The man is all over socials, host of Inside MLR, host of Sunday Night Rugby on ESPN, host of probably something else, and now a new daddy, Will Hooley.
Oh, just listen to that lyrics drawn out.
Oh, wow.
So this isn't you singing?
It was a little helium.
Gents, how
Will
are we?
Daddy, will that ever stick on? Will Daddy? Probably not, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That makes me sound like a pimp. Might have to edit that out. Oh, dear.
Will, congrats. Your life has changed so drastically and for the better, and clearly because you're on the show again. How are you, man? How are you doing?
Bill, Fitzy, great to see you gentlemen again. And I'm doing well. Yeah, it's the days kind of just merge into each other now. I know your fathers yourselves, and you'll know exactly what I mean. And dads out there listening, watching, like there's no like time of the day. It feels like it's like, morning is afternoon, afternoon's evening. And my wife and I just figuring it all out, but loving it, like just genuinely loving it. It's amazing how like the lack of sleep. I remember like as a player, you were always so like, I need to get my 8 hours sleep in for my recovery and whatever. And okay, I'm not doing the physical exercise that I was when I was a player, but I'm like, you just operate on like 4-5 hours of broken sleep here and there, and you just get going. It's fine. It's just weird how the body just adapts.
Which
and I guess I'm doing
maybe that's why Billy Meeks gets up at 4 a.m.
Yes. And you know what? The amount of, maybe that's a little nod to a certain documentary that came out yesterday. Go and check it out. More Than a Rugby Player with Billy Meeks. And the behind the scenes of him and what he gets up to. And that is exactly right, Fitzy. He, particularly in the off season, trained at that time in the morning because his day would transpire using, not just his training, but also being a dad and then also being a business owner. It's incredible, really, what he does. He's a little bit mental, but it works for him. I can't say I will be doing too many 4 a.m. workouts, I'll be honest.
No, you'll be woken up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Yeah, anyway.
Well, let's knock on wood. Hopefully, I'm sure everyone's healthy. We're really excited
Thank
for
you.
and we're really excited to learn more and more about this beautiful child of yours down the road as she ages and ages you.
That is already something I'm realizing as well. There's definitely a few extra wrinkles. I'm telling you, it's not from the sunlight out here. Put it that way.
No. Well, listen, again, amazing, but there's other things that we're really excited about, and you must be spinning right now. The 2026 season is here. One match this past week, and we got a bunch of matches coming up this weekend. Here, like I said, we're hosting Inside MLR. The new show on ESPN we're talking about. Are you sleeping? We talked about that stuff. You've got to be really excited about the league. Got to be really excited about the ESPN gig, which I really want to dig into a little bit more in a second. But overall, this is an exciting time.
Look, I obviously totally agree. And I still realize there's plenty of skeptics out there. And it's my hope, I know MLR's hope, that whatever anyone's involved in, so much work has been done behind the scenes. All the clubs, all the teams as well have done their work and to get to this point. And I would describe it as MLR 2.0. I genuinely believe this is a reset button that had to happen. And for the skeptics out there, they probably question that. But I honestly believe what has been done, what has been put in place, trying to build a brand within the brand, that's Sunday Night Rugby, the content trying to drop, the aura around the player and the story and connecting with, current fans, but also trying to, get amongst the non-rugby fan as well. I got to take my hat off to everyone. And then it's also credit to people like you guys. Like at the end of the day, it's easy for fans to, again, be skeptics and maybe have their doubts. But I think also, the belief in this and what is trying to be achieved is only, I believe, now going to be on a growth trajectory, in my opinion. But I also believe that I truly back that as well. So, there's lots of things to be excited about. And whilst there's only 1 week done and out the way, it's an action-packed season. Every week matters. Every game matters, not just for the teams, but also for the business and also for the production and also to just give it our absolute best shot. I truly believe we're in a position to try and do that.
And Will, let's talk about the the Sunday Night Rugby show on ESPN. Give our listeners and us, give us an idea of what that means. It's a live show, pregame show, postgame show. Explain it to us.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've nailed it as a core there in terms of the pregame show, having that build-up, having that preview. What is this matchup? What are the storylines? Also, that bit of analysis that you can just feed off that then takes it into the game, which, I think maybe we've had some great content in the years gone by with MLR, and there's been other shows during the week, and with Fox Sports, there's All Access that happened, and there's massive credit to everyone who was involved in that. I think it's trying to realize that, certainly with now 3 games a weekend, really, maximum, is how can you just encapsulate all the storylines in that weekend, what's just happened, the highlights, the best bits, the best moments that you want to see, and how good our game is, but then also showcasing this one particular game. I think in previous times we had issues with kickoffs were at the same time, for example, which therefore, prevented the fans from really following the stories. And then when you've got this, end of the week kind of roundup, but also showcase, and again, for the rugby fan and also for the non-rugby fan, that is a genuine aim. It's not going to be patronizing. It's going to hopefully be entertaining with great people, not just myself. I'm just one of the people that is hoping to steer this ship. And I use the analogy, and there's plenty of shows out there, but in the UK, there was one in particular when I was growing up. It was called Match of the Day, and it was for soccer, the Premier League, and it was always Sunday evening, and I always tuned in. I wasn't even a massive soccer fan, but the reality is when you have that sort of cadence to be like, you are going to get your rugby dose, definitely on the Sunday night, and it's going to be there with entertainment, analysis, different personalities, announcers on site, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my
you
God.
know how important that is. It's going to give, we've invested in our product. And that's what I mean about the brand inside the brand. And there's not a knock on the past, but it was a genuine belief that we have to bring this to the forefront and celebrate our great sport, not just the games itself, but what's going on around it too.
Yeah, so Will, in that vein, let's talk a little bit more about some of the folks that are going to be joining you on the show. Of course, you'll be hosting, but a few names that American rugby fans probably are familiar with, maybe one or two that might be newer. Talk a little bit about them and kind of what they bring to the show. And I hear there's going to be some others too throughout the season.
Yes, definitely. And stay tuned for that. I can't name those exactly because I don't want to get in trouble for those drops or those announcements to be made, but certainly elements of USA stars that you'll certainly be aware of and be excited about to hear their story. Maybe even some of those who have very recently retired. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's going to give the credibility, but also these fantastic people. And I particularly have to, shout out to co-host Claudia Bellafato, who's just incredible in what she does.
Remember her from the New England area. She's done a lot up here. Yeah,
100%. And also what she's done with CBS, her knowledge of the stats, betting, those kind of fan engagement things in what she's done before, will harness that in the show, and we'll bounce off each other. And I guess a bit of a fresh look and just a great personality as well. I know MLR fans are going to really love Claudia and what she does and how professional she is. And then also the entertainment and also the other people that are going to be around that, the people on site. We are very much making sure that, yes, the studio is in New York City. That gives it the oomph, the bells and whistles of a state-of-the-art studio. But we're going to make sure that those people who are on site, your Ben Holdens, your Bree Kims, Alex Corpiciero, who was there in California, and there'll be those opportunities for 3 people in the booth to get that sort of, interaction between analysts, agreement, disagreement. How has the game looked? What is the education of that decision? Referees, be aware, they will appear as well in terms of giving that knowledge about the laws. We are trying to throw everything at it. And as I say, through Claudia and I, we are there to facilitate that, hopefully bring that out in an entertainment. And the other thing is, gents, it doesn't sort of, I don't take it for granted how important this is that it's a success. And there is that pressure. And I know, I'm still raw. I mean, this is something I've absolutely built towards and really tried to harness and develop and be the best that I can be to get this opportunity to host. I really want to do that, and I really am proud of doing that. But I also know, come Sunday, pressure's on to deliver. As much as it is in the games, it's also pressure on because we owe it to the fans. And this is a fan show, and one that I hope that MLR fans will really be proud about.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, once again, being on a platform like ESPN, a few will be on ESPN2, but obviously most of them carried on ESPN Plus. Just that elevated platform for non-rugby fans maybe to come across it. I think there's a lot of credibility there that needs to be stated.
Yeah.
Well, I want to jump into we'll talk a little bit now about the MLR season here. I mean, obviously, we could keep beating the drum about teams dropping out of MLR, that being a storyline for a while. But let's concentrate on what the MLR does have, and that's 6 really strong sides here from top to bottom. Each team certainly competitive and has a chance to make the top 4 to make the playoffs there. But from your point of view, which clubs do you think have made the biggest splash in the off-season signings?
I mean, because of the reduction in teams, because of the pool of players that were available, let's be honest, every squad is looking like they have strength and actually depth. We haven't always seen that in Major League Rugby teams. We've seen that obviously with some of the top 5, top 6 teams that usually get to the playoffs and whatever. But now these 6 teams, I think, is genuinely going to be the most competitive it's been. In answer to your question, Fitzy, without trying to sort of sidetrack it, because I do believe everyone has made some really good signings. I do really like the look of Seattle Seawolves. I think Seattle, they have that pedigree, don't they? They're 2-time MLR champions, and they've always been there or thereabout. Alan Clark has obviously done a terrific job there. I also really like the assistant coaches he brought underneath them. And the signings that they've made, I mean, just the likes of someone like Paddy Ryan, obviously coming off the Legion books, the back rower, the USA Eagle back rower, great signing to, go with Big Rick Hatting, Rickard Hatting, they're just like good combinations I see happening. And then other combinations, JP Smith with Davy Kutzer, or even Andre Warner, Davy Kutzer. You got that sort of Houston partnership from last year that then could mold in nicely to Seattle. I mean, it's almost a toss-up. Who do you play? Andre Warner, JP Smith? That really excites me. Mark Bennett as well, the Scottish international. Yep. Again, just a real threat in their backline along the likes of Una Futi, on the wing. And there's something about them. And then other people up front, like Ezekiel Lindemuth. I mean, I could literally go on. There's something about, I feel like Seattle in the West in particular is going to be really strong. Look, I haven't even mentioned, obviously, the likes of Chicago. I also really believe the Free Jacks, they've signed smart as well. Bringing in Joel Hodgson to replace Potros, excellent. And the reason it's excellent is because of the way Joel plays the game, very similar to someone like Potros. And I think for Free Jacks fans, that is a gem of a signing, as is then someone bringing in like Ethan McVie or someone like that, just again, that partnership at 9 and 10. We could go on. I think, honestly, there is so much quality in each team, from Anthem to Legion to Old Glory DC. Semi Kunatani, Old Glory DC. Did we see that happening on the East Coast? Big Semi. Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing him go. Sorry, Fitzy. I'm giving you a very round the houses answer.
That's what we want.
Seattle give me a bit of excitement, though, I'm not going to lie.
So we're excited about the amount of domestic players in this competition as well. And no more than the Anthem. You just mentioned Anthem a second ago. 84% of their roster is domestic. A third of their roster are capped Eagles. What do you think we can expect from Anthem this year? I mean, I do feel they're going to get a win or two at least. Do we think they're going to perform even considerably better than they have?
They need to. I mean, and actually in the Inside MLR in episode 1, I appreciate you shouting it earlier, and I'm doing that just with it at MLR. It's not the rugby rundown it used to kind of be, but trying to give that it's like a bit of a messaging board for the fans, in particular, of like what's going on. We're trying our best with Alex Magleby, to give those honest answers. And I asked Alex Magleby, actually, it was in episode 2, is at what point do
he's in all your episodes, I think, isn't he?
He is. I'm about to say, my co-presenter, that would be really weird if he's just like got there. Thank you, Bill. But I asked him, I said, like, at what point is this a pressure on Major League Rugby? Because if Anthem don't perform, then is this whole World Rugby, USA Rugby, MLR thing, is it kind of not looking like it works? It's great for the opportunity of the players, but we need winners. That's going to then impact for the USA Eagles. I think we can all nod our heads in agreement of that. Yeah. What they brought in terms of like some of those veteran Eagles with the young Eagles, so like the Luke Cartys of this world, to come in and be a real presence as their controlling number 10. Pittman as well, the inside center. I know he's just been recently capped. I think he brings a lot of experience from Europe. Even someone like Malachi Esdale. There's real threats across the board there, just in the back line. And then in the forwards as well, the excitement of someone like Seth Smith. For me, and this is not pressure on Seth, I think he needs to have a breakout year this year. And he's still so young. And I'm not saying he needs to play every game of every minute, but I really want to see him be in contention for 2027. I really do. And I think he can get those minutes at Anthem, but also being a team that he's going to get recognized as performing at the set piece. He's going to work with Johan Momsen. He's going to work with James Scott. Really impressive. And then that back row, Alakan, Sam Goller, Moni Tongaweir. Moni Tongaweir is going to be, I think, the underrated signing of the season. That guy is a workhorse. And that's why Anthem, all these names I'm mentioning, just shows that their squad is strong and it's got depth as well.
You mentioned Anthem, a couple of newcomers there too that came through MLR, came through the draft. The top two this past year, Will Sherman, exciting lock out of UCLA, getting some rave reviews out of camp there. Certainly, Campbell Robb's going to get an opportunity at hooker. Another name that I think you mentioned recently, maybe that was on Inside MLR, but Oscar Tracy, the wing who's playing for the Legion. Now, we have seen wings in the past come on, like a Peyton Waller, Noah Brown. They've got some pace. They can make people miss, who can score if you get them the ball in space. What is it about Oscar Tracy? What do you see in him?
I see a guy who's 6'3", has the actual power. He's a slight frame at the moment. And I think obviously being in a professional environment, he will naturally beef up a bit. But you don't want someone like that to beef up too much because of what their athletic ability allows them to do. What I watched in CWU, and, I know people sometimes say like, oh, well, Will, you touch on some college. I generally try and keep up to date with college rugby, which, by the way, is no mean feat. Credit to people like Alex Goff out there. I do mean it, the fact that he brings such a good light to the college game. But what I saw from CWU is this guy who roams the field well. He doesn't just stay on his wing. He really tries to come in to be an impact. And I think he really understands the game. And to be, a Rudy Schultz Award winner, you really do have to be the top class of the college, system. And his try scoring ability with his pace and his frame. And as I say, you're not finding 6'3". I'm not saying he's massively tall, but his athleticism with kick chase, with ability to play ball in hand. He has sevens pedigree as well, which will really suit a Stephen Hoyle's side of California Legion. They want to play quick. They want to get Gonzalo Bertrano getting around the fringes, and then boom, expect someone like Tracy, other great wingers like Joe Mano, Ryan James. He's going to have competition, but expect, I think, Oscar Tracy just to make a maybe not the largest impact out of some of the rookies this year, but certainly an impact.
It definitely feels like the Will Sherman's going to be making an impact as well. He already made an impact in that Eagles camp earlier in the year as well with those players. They've all Patty mentioned how impressive he was in that camp as well. So it'd be great to see his progress, great to see all their progress, and we're really excited about this next season. Will, thank you for your input. This has been a blast. And again, Will Daddy. We're going to get on T-shirts. Will Daddy.
Girl Dad. Will the Girl Dad. Will Girl Dad.
Will the Girl Dad.
Yeah. Something like that.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Let's get on to our next guest, another person who's going to bring us a wealth of knowledge, Fitzy. I'm excited about this next guy, and I'm excited to meet him in person soon. And as usual, we will introduce him with a jingle.
Our next guest, a New Zealand native, now grounded in the U.S. Spent the last decade working in college, professional, and USA national team rugby. And now, New England Free Jacks general manager. Let's welcome Todd Thornley.
Hey.
Woo!
Our next guest.
Oh, it's playing again. That's how good that is. He wants to keep going. Don't do that. How you doing, Todd?
Good. What an intro. I've never had a song. Never had a song intro before. So well done.
Eventually, it's going to be like those love tapes you would give to a significant other. We'll make you make you a CD or an MP3 playlist. Well, I don't know, Fitzy, whatever the kids are doing these days.
You're asking me, like I know.
Yeah. Todd, man, again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for spending your time. The season's about to kick off, but welcome to New England. Is so much going on. How are you settling in so far?
Oh, loving it. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed my first month here. It's kind of a bit of a full circle moment when I touched down. So my first sort of interactions in the game over here was at Dartmouth College. So I remember flying in as a 3-year-old into Boston. So to have that moment again was pretty cool. So yeah, enjoying it so far.
Some nice facilities up there in Dartmouth, right?
Very nice. Yeah.
So Todd, just quickly for our listeners, head coach of Central Washington University for nearly 10 years, notoriously strong college program, even with the university dropping down to the club level. But you've also graduated a number of MLR players and a few Eagles. Joined Legion briefly as a coach. Then they went away technically. And now you've landed in Boston as the new New England Free Jacks general manager. Oh, and speaking of, 2 current Free Jacks players, I believe are under you. That's Alex McKenzie and Ivan Pula, right?
Yep. So Ivan's not on the roster this year, but he has been a Free Jack. And then, Alex McKenzie is, yep.
Yeah, I mentioned the whole welcome to Boston thing, but all this, like, your head must be spinning because we've talked to players involved with, like, no longer being on a team because a team disappears. So it just, how, again, other than welcoming to Boston, how is it all settling in for you and finally maybe finding your feet with the Free Jacks?
Yeah, finding my feet slowly. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate to have a lot of good people helping me with the transition. TK has been and still has been an exceptional ear to lean on.
Yeah.
And then, like they've assembled he had assembled an awesome staff. So it's more or less get out of the way and let them do their job. And then try and help them be at their best. So, the first couple of weeks was drinking out of a fire hose, but now I think, maybe it's just a garden hose, who knows? But it's been a really enjoyable experience nonetheless.
Yeah, Todd, you mentioned a little bit the transition, obviously, with TK, Tom Kindly joining the Hurricanes in Super Rugby. He and others on the staff helped build, a strong program there in Quincy, obviously 3 straight championships. I guess from your point of view, how do you come in as the new GM, put your stamp on things without being seen as like the TK replacement?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like more or less like my first sort of month, if not into six to 8 weeks, is about, seeking to understand. And that's understanding the people here and the process here already. I think it's, if you alluded to that success, John, like if you come in here wanting to change things for the sake of changing it, then you're probably missing out on what made the Free Jacks win 3 in a row. So I'm not looking to change anything currently. I'm still looking to be myself in this role. So like there is going to be differences and decisions and things like that. But I think it's really, really important for me to continue to learn more about this environment before I do anything to, change it, because it's obviously been very successful already. So, that's probably my focus right now.
And you had a little taste of the Quincy crowd there, obviously, this past weekend against the Privateers there. I mean, how ready are you for the Quincy crowd? Because what I mean by that is, I imagine if you all had like a hooker or a prop that goes down, Bill and others would not hesitate to run on the field and strap your cleats on and play. It'd probably give you 20 minutes. So, like, how ready? Do you have your earplugs ready for?
Oh man, yeah, incredibly passionate fan base here, but that's awesome and that's so exciting. And I mean, we've had sort of 2 events here so far. We had an open training run and a college tournament here a couple of weeks ago as well, and it's been awesome to be able to engage with all these fans. And they're your typical Boston sports fans, high expectations, but they're also incredibly loyal. So I think it's, for me personally, and then also for our team and our coaches, it's really important to keep that level of connection and engagement up. So, overall, I love it. I think it's so cool, the support we have here. And I think it's, our responsibility as a program to repay them with good outcomes and good rugby.
You mentioned incredibly passionate and also incredibly drunk at times, but at least in my section right there above the tunnel, that's the crew, and I'm sure they're all out there for that game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to miss that match. But so Todd, let's talk a bit about the roster as it is now. Much a big turnover from the past years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a much more American domestic side. Is it? I don't know. Is it match day preparations as usual for Ryan Martin and the rest of the coaching staff?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, obviously, there's different constraints on the competition now, and one of it's around being more domestic focused, which I think is awesome. I think it's the way forward to continue to grow the game here. And then, secondly, it's more or less like it's once you work around those constraints, then you just realize like now you have to get out of the blocks pretty quickly too, because 10-game season. Really, really good teams that you're playing against. Everyone has, similar levels of talent. What we do daily is really, really important. And I'm literally standing here looking over Quincy, and looking over veterans here, watching a training run as we speak. And we're well into our work, and we want to have fun while we do it too. So I'd say for Ryan, it's business as usual. He's an exceptional coach because he's extremely adaptive. So he can adapt personnel, he can adapt to conditions, he can adapt to if the equipment doesn't turn up on time or whatever. He's calm and adaptive, and he's a great teacher of the game. So I think it's business as usual for Ryan and his crew.
And just we mentioned the friendly against the Privateers this past weekend. The scoreboard read what it probably should read in that match. Any takeaways from this performance that gives you any indication on where this team is right now and where it should be going?
I think the general consensus is we're further ahead than we thought we'd be in terms of just the understanding of our game model and how we want to execute that. And then, we intentionally, it's a younger group this year, and there's some exciting young players that just need the right environment to flourish. And I think what we got out of that is we hit a bit of a confirmation of we've got some young guys that want to Ryan calls it be hardened criminals, and very much so, like we've got some young guys that want to physically impose themselves on the game, and we're going to have potentially have the ability to win the game in a multitude of ways. So the coaching staff got a lot out of the performance, and it was a lot tighter in the first 30 minutes. So we played a 30-30-20 split. And that first 30 minutes, it was, I think, 14-7 it was a one-score game. We actually played some really, really good rugby in that time. We just didn't finish opportunities. So overall, I think we'll be a lot better for it, and we're incredibly grateful for the Privateers for putting together a really even though the scoreboard probably didn't suggest it, there was some moments we were under serious pressure to execute. So, it was very beneficial for us.
So, Todd, let's look ahead to this weekend, season opener for the Jacks regular season. As you mentioned, only 10 games. It's it's a sprint.
Yeah.
Got to get table points when you can there and start off strong. Opening on the road against the Legion, a number of first action, right, for guys like Joel Hodgson and Ian McKee joining the squad. What do you anticipate we'll see from your squad in the first game of the 2026 season?
A squad that's excited to play, and hopefully a squad that's really connected into our game model and wants to execute that. I think it's such a nice balance when you mention someone like Joel Hodgson. Like, he's just a conductor, or a composer. He just has such a great understanding of and great connection with Marto in terms of how we want to manage the game, and so he's important to us. I think you'll see a team that's really, really excited to play rugby and but do really simple things really, really well. So the boys are sort of chomping at the bit to get over to San Diego and get on a little bit of sunshine as well will be nice. And hopefully put a performance out that that puts us in good stead to start the competition well.
Yeah, let's your comments here quickly on week one. Anthem obviously getting the first win. Great for the franchise there. So we'll touch on that in a second here, but I got to imagine a team like Legion, going back and watching that game, there was a number of kind of like miscues, sloppy play. They controlled possession most of the game and a lot of the territory. I'm sure with them at home, they're going to want to try and get back on the right foot there. Like, how does the team approach going up against a team maybe that wasn't as sharp and maybe, I shouldn't say in need of a win, but certainly wanting to right a loss the week before?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of alluded to it, John. Like, they're going to be really well aware of, you know, what they need to fix. So they're going to be a lot better for it. You know, they had the shorter preseason, obviously playing in that week 0 type scenario. And, you know, that kind of showed, right, those little moments of disconnection. But knowing them and their coaching staff and their talent, I think, you know, they'll be able to connect that. So we really expect a better performance from the Legion, and we know that we're going to have to be really, really good ourselves to get the result that we want.
And the other side of that match, Todd, Anthem, and with your background of coaching some of the USA development sides, what does that say about Anthem and the league as well? You know, obviously more domestic players, a little bit, maybe leveling the field down to them a little bit, or is it just Anthem finally has the makeup really they needed to have from the beginning?
Probably, I mean, I think it's probably the latter. I think Kuka, you know, he's clearly a fantastic coach. He's, you know, did an amazing job at Dallas, and then now he's got the head role at Anthem. He's, you know, his fingerprints are all over that with the maul, the strong set piece, the contestable kick game, all those things. So, and I think Anthem now what they did really well in the off season, Mark Carney and co, is like they recruited a couple of really good overseas pros that not only can play really, really well, but will only just help, you know, a lot of this young US talent. So you saw that on the game with, you know, Jordan Trainer was pretty influential. Zion going at 9, even though he's US eligible, he was really influential. So I think it's just that, you know, everything kind of fell into place on the day for them, and they finally got a performance out that they're probably really, really happy with. And yeah, there's some good young talent there, though. You know, it's pleasing to see someone like Will Sherman come out of the college game. And I think he got 22 tackles. You know,
and a yellow.
So, yeah. So and someone like Campbell Robb, their hooker, who, you know, came straight out of the college game and, you know, did his job really, really well. So I think there's some really encouraging things coming out of the development pathway and the USA Rugby pathways in general, that if you support the player right, then clearly, like, you can get some really good performances out of them.
And on that same topic, really, there's just the way Major League Rugby set up this year with, you know, a much larger domestic roster base. And from your experiences with the development sides, I mean, what are the benefits as far as the Eagles down the road go? Is this really the right step as far as, okay, these guys are playing together, like Anthem, there's so many guys playing together, you know, other teams, so many of these USA qualified players playing together. What is that result we should see after a few years of this?
I just think, like, meaningful match minutes, right? Like Scott's alluded to that a lot of the time. Like now, like with these, you know, with the, I guess, the new era of MLR and domestic focus, like there's just a lot more guys going to get a lot more minutes. And again, when we allude to, I guess, the parity of the competition now in terms of the loaded talent across the board, like it's going to be meaningful. I mean, I would imagine a lot of these games are going to be really one-score type games. So you can't replace that. And then in terms of the cohesion piece, I mean, that's important. But I think first and foremost, let's just give these guys and create enough competitive opportunities for them so they're playing, you know, accumulation of, you know, north of 600 minutes in this comp, where they can, you know, actually get really good feedback week to week from their performance, from their coaches. And yeah, they can actually build on performances and not be in and out of environments or playing lower level games or whatever else. So, I mean, the benefit's going to be huge, and it's just important that the players are constantly supported through that, and their development is met with the same level of commitment from a coaching aspect. I think is just as important as what the players are giving us. I feel like as coaches or management now, like we can do a lot to support our players' development as we all want to, hit 2031 with a really cool moment. So, there's a bit of everything that goes into it, I think.
Yeah. All right. Finally, Todd, I don't know. TK probably didn't tell you this, so I'll just let you know. He usually gave me free parking, free bar tab. What else? Jerseys. It was all kinds of whatever merch I wanted, really. So I'll send you the information.
Okay, great. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you had an open tab too, didn't you, Bill?
What's that? Open tab?
I think you had an open tab.
Yeah. Well, Magleby said I was soaking them dry, so they had to cut that off. But Todd Thornley, thank you. New England Free Jacks General Manager, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this season. We're cheering for you.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time, guys.
Thanks, Todd.
All right. Great stuff from Todd Thornley, the New England Free Jacks GM. And now we shift to our last guest, and not the least at all. We're really excited about talking with this guy as well, because he's going to give us another maybe what do you call it, Fitzy? Staff or league perspective into the season coming up. Is that a good way of saying it?
League perspective. I think that's right. I think that's accurate.
All right. Well, let's get this going. And by the way, this song has put on a little length to my hair, as you'll see in a second. So get your Aquanet and hairspray ready, and let's introduce our guest.
Your metal.
With over 20 years of commercial leadership, former interim CEO, Dragons RFC, and now covers rugby operations, competition integrity, season execution, union relations, and financial oversight. Phew, that's a lot. Let's welcome Major League Rugby co-president Graeme Bradbury.
There he is. Hey, Graeme.
I'm loving that.
I don't know about you,
but I'm playing in the stadium when I walk in every week. That'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Like you'll hear people will hear the beginning of that and go, "Oh no, there's Graeme. Graeme's coming out. He's coming out."
No, I don't think we've ever heard the phrase financial oversight in a rock and roll song before, so that's got to be a first. That has to be.
Oh, no. I've listened to a fair amount of rock music, but that's absolutely, I think you're absolutely right there, John.
I'm thinking in the corporate rock charts, it's number one.
Should be.
So, Graeme, thank you for coming on the show. I know it's probably a really busy time for you, but thanks for joining us, man.
No, pleasure. Always make time for to have a conversation, and looking forward to this.
So let's jump right into it. We had Mags on the show a while back, and we've been we're meaning to get you on for the longest time and trying as well. But so let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about that co-president situation. It's been almost 5 months of this new co-president structure at MLR. But how is that new structure working out?
I think we're working really, really well together. We know where our talents lie, and certainly Mag's talent is definitely sort of forward-facing and looking out and seeing how to bring on more fans, engaging with fans directly. And mine is probably more in the background, making sure that rugby is played, making sure our officials have absolutely best quality we possibly can do. Working with the teams week in, week out. To your point, it's a really busy part of the year, but then it's difficult to think back of a period that wasn't. Really, really enjoying it. It's hard work. It's rewarding work. It's great working with the current ownership group. It's great working with the league presidents and league CEOs and GMs. Great being involved with World Rugby directly and also USA Rugby as part of my sort of remit. It's a wide remit, much to your song intro, but it certainly keeps you busy and it's very interesting.
So I know I've known Max for a while too, and I think he brings a great wealth of knowledge of the game in America and all that to the team as well. But is there ever a situation where you two have a split decision on something? I don't know if you're ever on the same panel of making decisions in the league, and if are, what do you do? Are we talking about a coin flip? Do you have a drop kickoff? Anything like that?
It's normally pistols at dawn. Get it done. Problem is his dawn's earlier than mine, so I tend to get shot. No. Joking aside, look, we work really well together. We talk things through. Because we're running in sort of different work streams, it tends to be the person whose job is that work stream gets the job done. The only say that I would have, and this hasn't happened at all, is if it was something that was financial, because I'm in charge of the budget. Yeah. If it was something that was going to risk the budget, then that would be something I'd have a say on. But otherwise, no, we work really well together. We talk constantly. And that goes across the leadership group. You know, Lucas Reed, Chief Revenue Officer, he's got some fantastic ideas. Brandon Sparks, Director of Rugby, I talk to more than my wife. So yeah, look, we're always really keen on keeping the communication levels really high, and that means we don't get to a point where we have to have a tough conversation the vast majority of the time.
Oh, hold on, Fitzy. One thing that you mentioned, Brandon Sparks, I did catch him on the feed for the match this past weekend, fixing one of the posts. So that guy does a lot of different things.
He did, and what you didn't see was the bit before that, where David Wilkinson was actually lifted by a couple of props to get the poles in the place in the first place. But you actually caught Brandon Sparks, and he's not living that one down very quickly, I can tell.
No.
Too bad the throw-in wasn't straight, so they got penalized. But no, Graeme, let's start with. I want to start with some of the wins that have happened in the off season, right? So Major League Rugby Players Association signed a CBA, or a collective bargaining agreement, that will oversee the league for the next 2 years. Now, we've covered the ins and outs with folks, but what I really wanted to focus on was kind of like the long-term ramifications of what this deal means for the league, especially if there are potential investors or a new group of owners who are circling rugby, and they're like, hey, we want to enter a team into this league. What does that CBA mean for them, for the long-term maybe stability of the league?
Yeah, absolutely. It means that we have labour stability, and it knows that it allows us to estimate what our cost base is going to be a lot easier. So when we're having those expansion conversations, we can work on budgets for people. We can talk them through what the expectations will be, but certainly having labour security is a really good thing. And I also think, reflecting on it, having really good relationships with the players, and also, Chris Martina from the union, it really helps build things better. I was having a good conversation with Chris the other day. I think having strong union relationships is nothing but a positive. And when we're talking in terms of expansion, when we're talking in terms of broadcast, even when we're talking commercial deals, I think having that in place is actually really crucial, because it de-risks the business to a certain extent, but there isn't anything hanging over what was going on. And we've seen that with other sporting CBAs recently, where when it gets to that cliff edge, it makes it really difficult to get other things done. So to have that security for the next 2 years, I think is really key for us as a business to grow, and to help the conversations that Max and Lucas are having. But certainly on the expansion side, definitely having that security and financial knowledge of where we're going to end up is absolutely key.
Yeah, and just speaking of some of the other changes, we won't cover too much, right? Obviously, the league lost a couple of teams. California Legion playing in a few different locations, maybe almost like a test for other cities or owners that are interested. But I think what was most exciting was seeing that Nashville, Tennessee, right, a very popular travel destination year round. I'm sure Bill's been to a few bachelorette parties there in Nashville. You always get the 4-for-1 boot deal, Bill. That always entices me in Cowboys boots. But so Nashville is going to play host to a Chicago Hounds New England Free Jacks match coming up here. I'm sure there was a lot of planning and coordination to make it all happen from an MLR perspective. But what was kind of the reason for Nashville? Just a good reason to party down on Lower Broadway, or is there something about the city that maybe expansion talks, or yeah?
No, I mean, it was actually Chicago's idea. They came to us with the plan. They wanted to take a game on the road, and we absolutely were supportive of it and helped them make it happen. Nashville's a great city. I was there last year, and not going all the way back to the intro song, but it was actually to see 2 nights of Metallica in Nashville last year, so really enjoyed that. But no, like you say, it is a great city. And when you look at the list of potential World Rugby 2031 World Cup hosts, you'll see in that area, you'll see Nashville, you'll see Birmingham, Alabama. Obviously, Huntsville's in the area as well. So there's a lot of potential in that area. And yeah, I mean, we're out there actively seeking expansion and seeing this as a test. I mean, we do have some conversations ongoing in that area. Whether it's a test or not, I guess we'll see. But certainly, if that stadium's full and there's a big reaction to having a game there, then that's going to be a real positive for any sort of people looking at that particular city as a location to move into for an expansion. So, no, we're really excited for that one. Obviously, our final this year is in Chicago, and that wasn't done for any other reason than that was the best opportunity. We had a look at a few other cities as well, some that weren't MLR cities, but when we saw where the FIFA World Cup was going to be, and when we worked through the costings and how we could make the most profitable final we could, Chicago absolutely came out on top. A fantastic city, great that time of year, great transport links, so many hotel opportunities, and a great stadium. We're taking the game on the road to Nashville, though, I think is a no-brainer if a team wants to do that sort of thing. We're happy to support. And 2 points, well, California going to 5 different cities. That was partly because they needed to, just because of availability of stadiums due to the FIFA World Cup. And this weekend we pulled the game forward to the Great Park in Orange County just to make sure that they could use that facility, because it is a fantastic facility. It's just the right size for us right now. Grass pitch, everything about it was perfect. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how many people come out in Sacramento. I'm looking forward to seeing the UCLA game, the St. Mary's game, and obviously this weekend in Toronto. So it's really good.
Free Jacks fans tend to travel pretty well, so you should see a good group of them out there in California. And just talking about Nashville a little bit longer, is it more about the easy to get to from multiple locations? No, Aer Lingus flies there directly from Dublin. It's not really a rugby hotbed. Maybe 5 distinct clubs within like a 50-mile radius. I know you mentioned Huntsville, other towns as well. But is it more about that easy availability or getting to? I know the word I'm looking for.
I mean, there's a few different reasons behind it, and that's up for the Chicago ownership to discuss why they really wanted to go there. But it's for me, although there's not that many rugby clubs like you just mentioned, Bill, that they have the Nash Bash there, which is a fantastic tournament, and that brings out a good crowd. So I think there is a lot of rugby in the area or the wider area. So like I said, I'm really intrigued to find out how it goes, but certainly we're going to make a really big pitch of it, and looking forward to that in a couple of weeks' time.
So you mentioned Chicago. Back to Chicago for the finals again. 2023 was the last time with the Free Jacks winning their first of the 3. One of the interesting that was there for that, which was a great time. I love the entertainment, pre-entertainment, post-game entertainment. It just so happened, Boston's band, the Dr. Murphys did the post-game show. But one of the issues I thought we had there was because of the game cameras on one side of the stadium, and this showed for California recently as well, there was no one really sitting on the other side of the stadium. And on TV, it didn't look good. And Graeme, full disclosure, I work in broadcast and sports broadcasting as well. So it stands out to me, really does. And maybe not for other people, but it does to me. It's like, what can be done? Can we do something with these stadiums? I know there are restrictions, obviously, where camera wells are and all that stuff, but can that be approached differently when that final comes, where they say, okay, SeatGeek, let's seat everybody on that side of the stadium?
Look, I mean, first off, let's hope we sell it out completely. That would be the absolute dream.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We don't have to worry about that. But secondly, we're in partnership with OS Studios this year on our production side. They are a fantastic group of people. They had over 30 people actually at the ground there in Great Park this weekend. A lot of them weren't actually working. They were there to learn from the people who were working. So they are really committed to this. And we got Reese Edwards, they've hired as director for the full season. And he's over in New York for the full season. Now he's directed Rugby World Cups. So they've really got behind this.
I know the name, yeah.
We've also done site visits to every single stadium. So we know where the cameras are going to go. We know how many cameras we're going to have at each location. We know what needs to be done to make it better. In Orange County this weekend, it was really hot. and there is one stand that is completely under the shade, and it's the biggest stand.
Yeah.
And then there's the other stand, which is over the other side, which is completely in the open. And what happened was, unfortunately, most people stayed in the main stand, even on the back concourse. When the game kicked off, there was also a queue of a couple hundred people still outside waiting to get in. So yes, it didn't look as good as what we wanted to look. And I think if we look at the overall in the game, I think we go ourselves probably a C. There was things that went really well, and there's things that we can improve. But that was mainly weather related, and actually the crowd and the attendance. I haven't got a final number yet. I'm looking forward to seeing what that is, because I think it'll be bigger than what the old LA team had last year in the same venue. And it was more to do with the weather rather than anything else. And in that venue as well, the seating was a little bit more sit where you want, as opposed to
it was okay.
Specific seats. So I don't blame everyone for sitting in the shade. It was disappointing for us, and it made it a bit more difficult to look at on camera. But being in the ground myself as well, it was difficult to stand in the sun for quite a long time. So I get it. I understand it. We've learned from it. To your point about Chicago, we've got some really strong plans in place there, not just for the Chicago Hounds season, but also for the final. So looking forward to seeing how that looks. I hope and I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. And kudos for getting the announcement out before the season started. I think that certainly helps getting fans excited about knowing where the championship match will be held. Graeme, I wanted to shift gears a little bit here. I couldn't help but notice the maybe the uptick in like new business partnership announcements over the last few months. Seemingly like it was like one every week leading up to the start of the season. I guess, what does that say to outside investors or brands who are eyeing opportunities to put their money to use in professional rugby in the US?
I think there's a few elements to that, actually. I mean, first off, I don't know if you guys noticed this weekend, but you'll have seen our betting lines were actually on quite a lot of different betting sites, which is completely new for us. And we've been working on the backgrounds to make that happen. So there's a few different things with regards to different revenue streams that we're looking at. When it comes to partners, I mean, one of the things that partners are looking for is improvements when it comes to production quality. And I think we've made major steps there. I mean, I've watched that game back probably more times than I care to mention already. And I think the camera work was really good. I think it was a really sort of big step forward. We weren't trying to find where the ball had gone or anything like that at all. So camera work and camera quality, I think, was a really big step forward. We've got to acknowledge that there were some audio issues. We know what those issues were. We've fixed them already. And that's the encouraging thing. There wasn't anything that went wrong that we didn't know and understand already what happened, and we can put in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. So, for example, the clock disappeared a couple of times. That was just purely because there was too many people on the system at the time. And that's because everybody was trying to watch our very first game within our work. That won't happen again because we've got 3 games every weekend coming up. So you won't have so many people on one feed again. The good news is we found that out before we got the championship, when next time is that probably everyone will be on at the same time. So, we've got a lot of learnings from this game. So that was fantastic. But going back to your question on partnerships, so yeah, there are a lot of partners that are looking at us right now. There was some really interesting conversations happening until a couple of the teams dropped, which was unfortunate. But we want to keep revisiting those conversations because there are some big partners out there that want to come on board, but they want to partner with somebody that really takes pride in their product and is really showing their best foot forward. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the whole aim of this year is just improve everything so people can be proud to partner with us. And I think those conversations are still ongoing. I know Luke's doing a really good job there, and Jericho. And I think there'll be more and more announcements coming over the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. So just a minute ago, so you mentioned about really good camera shots, cuts. You got a great director involved here. Not on site, it sounds like. The director's he's not a production truck on site. So you have on-site production managers. You have a number of camera crews, camera ops. I think one thing a lot of people don't understand is a lot of these camera ops, they may be fantastic camera ops, but they don't know rugby. So is that kind of the learning process? Like, it's not just up to the director to teach them. He can tell them what to shoot. but the camera ops need to anticipate as well. Okay, this is how rugby's played, so I know the ball's can go here, the X, Y, and Z. Is there training at that level for these crews still? Anything like that?
And that's why it's been so great partnering with OS, because yes, they have called in camera crews. And one of the things of moving to Sunday Night Rugby is that we can book things regularly and have the same crews at the same stadium, so they get used to the beat of rugby, I guess, and understanding where the ball may go and anticipating what's going to happen next. In the past, I think back to last season where we had probably 4 games kicking off in an area of each other, which was just absolute carnage, made it really tough for the production guys. And it just meant we had to take whatever crew was available at the time. And they may not have ever seen a rugby match before. Certainly there was a couple of camera crews that I was talking to that never had, and they didn't know what they were doing, frankly. And that wasn't acceptable. And that's why we've moved on. And OS Studios are doing a great job. They have trained people, both on the camera side and on the production side. They've brought in talent left, right, and centre, and I'm really encouraged by what I saw in week 1. Like I said, I'd give us a C because there was some issues, but those issues are definitely things that we're already in control of. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks this week in Starfire in Seattle, and then down at Torero, and also in American Legion in Charlotte. And I think it's going to be really good.
Graeme, I think you're a harsh grader a little bit. Let's see, I'd give you better than that, man. I'm glad you weren't my professor, man. I would have.
I mean, I think we've set ourselves a really high bar this year. So I'm basing that against what we want to do and what we think we can achieve. I look at the challenge system that we had in place this weekend, and I think it worked really well. And again, kudos there to Brandon and also David Wilkinson for coming up with that idea. And that was a reaction to TMO last year, probably interfering in games too much, occasionally even wrong decisions when they interfered in games as well. Whereas, if we look at what happened on Saturday, it was 2 challenges. The referee didn't do any challenges themselves. And the game flowed really well, and the ball in play number is fantastic too. So that's what we wanted to achieve, and also have the accuracy as well. So when you looked at those cameras, because the cameras are better quality and because there's more of them, it was pretty clear what had actually happened. So the referee can make that decision. So there were pieces that went really well, and we were really happy with. I'd like to. I know Rob Wallace, our head of production, would probably have a different grade again, and I would probably say his may even be lower because his expectations were even higher of himself. I think it was a decent hit out, but I think we got plenty of room for improvement, and I look forward to it.
Graeme, I wanted to ask this question here because we've noticed that Alex Maggleby's been posting on socials about fans asking for some type of like Challenge Cup competition, really grassroots thing, which I think is pretty cool. But then that gets us thinking about, because there's a lot of really exciting rugby happening across the Americas, North and South America. And I'm sure you've had questions like this before, but any chance of some kind of Champions Cup style competition, right? With some Major League Rugby clubs and some of the top professional pro clubs down there in South America. I don't know what that looks like. Post MLR, I know there's the July test window, but are there conversations taking place? Maybe potentially, would MLR be interested in some type of America's style competition? Just exhibitions or something.
Sure. I mean, are there ongoing conversations with South America right now? No. But I've just come back from the Shape of the Game meeting in February in London. We made a lot of really good contacts there. And we actually, the communication is so much better now, and as a group of sort of owners and people who run leagues, we actually have a WhatsApp chat group now, and so we've got that level of communication. I found talking to Mark in Japan was really good, and then Jack in Super Rugby, we had a really good conversation as well. There's lots of potential out there. There's lots and lots of potential out there, and we are 100% open for business. So if there was something to be done and it made fiscal sense to do it, and it wasn't going to extend our owners any further than we're already asking them to do, then certainly we would be very keen to look at it. So, all right. I don't know if that answers your question, but we are.
That tells it enough. Yeah.
That's where we anticipated that answer going. It can't be like, okay, this is exactly what we're doing, Fitzy and Bill. We're going to be having. Last thing for you, Graeme, before we let you go, and you're not going to answer these questions. I get it already. Just like that last. I'm just kidding. As far as MLR sides go, where does your allegiance lie, and also who's going to win it all this year? Go.
Great question. I'm Switzerland, unfortunately. I think having seen that first game, I think again, like I said, we've got betting lines open now, and I believe it had California to win by 12. So we can already see that we've got some interesting changes in the league this year. And I think one of the results of losing a number of teams is that every team is stronger now. When you looked at the Anthem team, it looked fantastic, and they've got the debutants they brought in there. I mean, Will Sherman got all the sort of press leading into it, but I thought Campbell Robb was fantastic. Watching him play, I thought he was outstanding first game, so that was really good to see. But I also saw enough from California to think that that they're going to be in the mix later on in the year as well. So I'm not worried about those guys at all. And I'll see how Stephen Hoyles reacts to this, and having a game against New England Free Jacks this weekend, I think is going to be that's going to be a really good response that we see in that game down there in San Diego. And talking about New England, very much a different team. Obviously, Todd was on just before me as well, so it'd be really interesting to see how they go. And I've not seen anything of them. I know they had a preseason game that they did pretty well in, but I'm intrigued to see how that goes. Ryan's a great coach, so I'm sure they'll be ready to play. We know how good Anthem were on the weekend, and then Seattle have been down to the Stormers, where it sounds like they gave Stormers quite a good game for 60 minutes, and it just fell off a little bit at the end. So they look really strong on paper. So it'll be interesting to see how they run out when we actually get to competitive games. And then Chicago, really strong squad. Being very close last year. And then DC, who don't get enough of a mention. Simon Cross is a fantastic coach there. They've got an experienced squad. And I think they may come in under the radar because then nobody seems to be mentioning them at all. And I think that's probably what they actually want. And it's probably a good thing for them. I'm really, really interested to see how this plays out. I can't tell you who's going to come. I can't even say who's going to be in the final. I think each team could beat everybody on their day, and that's actually a really great place to be for a competitive league. And really excited to be part of it. And if anybody's in Seattle or San Diego this weekend, I'm going to be at both those games. So please make yourself known to me. Come over, have a chat. Always happy to talk about rugby, and look forward to meeting everybody on the road.
Well, Graeme, looking forward to meeting you one day on the road up here in New England. Fitzy, he's a DC fan, but he lives on the wrong coast, so you probably won't see him in person.
Well, at the Legion, when the Legion come to UCLA. Yep. I almost went to the Irvine game, but I had to coach a Little League baseball game. So my kids play rugby. So, yeah.
Nice.
There is one other thing, guys, as well. I mean, we've been talking about a lot of changes that we've done, and one subtle one that nobody noticed this weekend on our MLR app, you'll actually see live commentary of games, and that includes ref mic as well. So it allows people in the ground to actually listen in on the ref mic to see what's actually going on the field. We did a soft trial of it this weekend, and that's why you're seeing all the MLR staff walking around with one earphone in to see what was going on, just to make sure everything was working okay. I mean, that's going out wider this weekend. So I'd encourage any fans in the ground, have a look at the app, download the app, sign up, listen to either the ref mic or the ESPN commentary at the time.
Yeah.
But also, if you can't make it to the game, please listen in. It's a new way of listening to us.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love new technologies like that. Graeme Bradbury, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with MLR overall this season, and we look forward to chatting again soon.
Oh, John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Good stuff. Great getting Graeme on. I already had Mags on earlier in the year. It's great to get his input, and I love that last thing you said about the app. I'm going to check that out. That's going to be a lot of fun, Fitzy.
Well, I love the fact that he's going on tour, right? He's going to get to as many matches as he can. So if you see him out at an MLR game, go up to him, say hi, give him some feedback. That's cool. He sounds receptive to taking it in.
Yeah,
so
as he should do. Yeah, I believe he may. I don't know if he mentioned it, but I think he said also buy him a beer. So listeners, make sure you buy him a beer if he's into that kind of thing. Yeah, great stuff. Hooley, Thornley, Bradbury, a lot of E's in that one. Great to listen to those three. Please share this podcast with your friends and family. Like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, or the podcast. Please give it a listen. Give past podcasts a listen. Also, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, Patty Ryan was on recently. A number of other really cool people. So check it out, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will chat again soon.